The Lord be with you. A reading of the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus heard of the death of John the Baptist, he withdrew in a boat to a deserted place by himself. The crowds heard of this and followed him on foot from their towns. When he disembarked and saw the large crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, and he cured their sick. And when it was evening, the disciples approached him and said, "This is a deserted place, and it is already late. Dismiss the crowd so they can go to the villages and buy food for themselves." And Jesus said to them, "There is no need for them to go away. Give them some food yourselves." But they said to him, 5 loaves and 2 fish is all we have." Then he said, "Bring them here to me." And he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the loaves and the 2 fishes, and looked up to heaven, he said the blessing, broke the leaves, and gave them to the disciples, who in turn gave them to the crowd. They all ate and were satisfied. And they picked up the fragments left over, 12 wicket baskets full, and those who ate were about 5,000 men, not counting the women and the children. My brothers and sisters, the gospel of the Lord.
Good afternoon. So thank you, Father Dan, for the introduction and the invitation to be with you today. Thank you, Deacon, for giving me this beautiful podium. I'm guessing it came from an older church. Looks like it's hand-carved. Lovely. I'll expect a full critique when I'm done, Deacon, so you can let me know. Because I'm not Edward the Confessor, I'm Edward the Professor. So I'm a teacher, basically, a member of the Brothers of the Christian Schools, commonly known as the Christian Brothers. You might know of our brandies, liquors, and wines, or you might not. Or you might know of our excellent educational institutions, which we run in 80 countries around the world, including a school not too far from here, where I'm staying this weekend and last. Christian Brothers Academy in Colony, and across the river in Troy, New York at LaSalle Academy, LaSalle Institute. I am located at LaSalle University in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where at LaSalle University I'm in active retirement. I spend 20 hours a week in our museum of 8,000 works of art. That's open to the public. If you're in town, feel free to stop in. It's a great place. Meet some of our wonderful students. I also assist with the coaching of track and field and cross country. I play the glockenspiel, the bing, 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 right, in the pep band at LaSalle for all the men's and women's basketball games. I rehabilitate pit bulls so they can try to get them from nasty situations of abuse into loving families. And I teach English in the evenings 3 nights a week at a local parish to new learners of English who are over the age of 25, adults recently arrived in the United States. So that's what the Brothers of the Christian Schools call retired. And during the summers, I visit every weekend a parish such as yours. This year I visit 4 in the Diocese of Albany. A couple weeks ago I was in Syracuse. Next week I'm in Brooklyn. The week after that I'm in Jersey City, etc., etc. I was raised and educated K through 12 by the Sisters of Little or No Mercy. You've heard of them. Wonderful women. Maybe there's two that I could have done without in 13 years of education, but they did very, very well to give me a love for education and teaching, so much so that they sent me on to the Brothers of the Christian Schools to complete my undergraduate. After that, I studied with the Jesuits and with the Augustinians at Loyola of Chicago and at Villanova. And yes, I was there when Pope Leo was there. I was a bit older, and he was an undergraduate, but I probably waved to him here or there, who knows. So that is what I do, and here I am. The bishops of the United States designate that each parish should have a mission awareness parish, and I'm guessing many of you have, you know the gig, right? You know what's going to happen. You've been coming here year after year after year, and somebody's up here talking about missions and appealing on behalf of your bishop in the Diocese of Albany, as well as on my order, the Brothers of the Christian Schools. So I have two occupations, two duties, if you will, in this appeal. And very simply, the first one, as you can guess, we are a faith community, and like all faith communities, Protestant, Catholic, Jewish, Hebrew, well, they're Jewish, aren't they? Hebrews, Muslims, Sikhs, you name it, whatever, Native American Indians. We all pray for our fellows. And we even have to pray, according to Jesus, for our enemies. So today we'll leave that aside, but I'll ask you to pray for our brothers and sisters who are serving far from home and far away in distant lands and distant cultures in spreading the gospel of Jesus. And they're doing it in our name. And today I'm asking you this week, perhaps add an extra little 10 decades to your rosary, or perhaps maybe start a novena if that's your go-to prayer form, or at least an Our Father, a Hail Mary, and a Glory Be at night and at morning with your daily prayers for the men and women, our brothers and sisters, our parishioners, our American citizen fellows who are far away from home. Prayers are important. I can tell you I've been there. At the time that I was in one assignment, my niece was teaching third grade, and on Friday afternoons she had them write a little note to brother Uncle Eddie and tell them about their lives, and they're praying for me and all that. And sometimes those notes didn't get there for a week or two or three or four because of distance and mailing and all that. But when they did, it was a great experience to receive that. So if you know of missioners, or if you have in the diocese a program of being in touch with the people that are there in the name of the Diocese of Albany, it might be a good idea this week to think of how you can pray for them, maybe not just this week, but always. The second appeal, of course, is for coin of the realm. So there will be a second collection or a basket or envelope. Every parish does it differently, but Father's in charge of that. I'm just here to tell you where perhaps your donation might go. And to do that, I would like to reintroduce you. No, I'm a teacher, so I like audiovisual aids, right? So there's the audio. There's the visual. These are called dollar bills. You may remember them. They're not worth a whole lot anymore. In fact, if you had dollar bills in Center City, Philadelphia, and you were hungry and you wanted to get one of our world-class cheesesteaks, this dollar bill would buy you sesame seeds on your roll. All right, think about it. $1 for a bunch of birdseed, sesame seeds on your roll. Getting there, you might need this dollar to transfer into quarters to put it into a meter so that you would get, are you ready for this? 12 whole minutes of parking in Center City, Philadelphia. Such a deal, huh? That's what $1 will get you in Center City, Philadelphia. However, if these dollars wind up in Huehuetenango, Guatemala, or in Nakuru in East Africa, near Nairobi, in Kenya. They're worth a heck of a lot more. In Tenango, my friend, brother James, told me a couple years ago now when I asked him about this, what he would do with $1 if I sent it to him. And he said he'd buy breakfast. Thinking that's pretty good, breakfast for $1, right? But it wasn't for him. It was for one of his students. And it was for the one of his students this month who just didn't have $1 to come up with for breakfast at school, 20 days a week in the month, 20 days in the month of class. Happens every month. Some kid just can't raise the dollar. We brothers make it possible for our students to earn things and to help pay them for their own bills and that. But just sometimes you can't come up with $1 for breakfast. So some young man in his homeroom, he was a sophomore teacher like I was for many years, some young man will come to school and he will receive a cup of milk and a piece of fruit, maybe, probably, and some starchy kind of thing that he will call breakfast. So it's not Denny's, it's not McDonald's or IHOP or whatever. All right? It's very, very simple. But it is no less a miracle like that miracle that we heard about in the gospel. Okay? That little bit of sustenance that day will allow that student to do what is God's will for him in his regard, which is to learn and to study without the distraction of hunger. We've all been hungry, right? Maybe for just 2 or 3 minutes, maybe for 2 or 3 years or 20 years, maybe we've been hungry. It's not a good thing. And we are cranky and we are not ourselves and we're not interested in a whole lot of stuff. We're distracted all over the place if our bellies are growling at us. So imagine a young man who can come in and doesn't have to worry about that today. He can worry about solely what his teacher is trying to teach him and to cooperate with his classmates in the learning process. Now, if you're in the other part of the world, in East Africa, in Kenya, Brother Dennis there told me that he would take the dollar bill across the compound in the school and give it to one of the religious sisters who run the girls' school. And he would ask the sister who was teaching, also sophomores, they both taught sophomores in high school, 14-year-old kids, you know what that's like, right? So he asked her if she would buy 4 copybooks and give them to 4 young ladies in her class who were siblings, 2 of them in fact were twins, of 4 boys in his class. So 4 girls are going to get a copybook. You remember them, right? They were black and white, and they had blue lines and red lines, and you put your name here, and JMJ, and a cross at the top, and on and on and on. And we used them all through our elementary and high school, and they're still being used, believe it or not, around the world. But in Kenya, the situation is little girls don't get copybooks. The boys do from the government, but the girls don't. So this, again, is a minor miracle affected by a dollar bill that isn't being put into an overpriced parking meter, but is being sent for 4 young ladies to be able to have their own badge of courage to walk around the village with something, some possession of theirs that is probably their only possession other than the clothes on their back and the flip-flops on their feet. And that copybook gives them the opportunity to learn better, of course, but it also gives them status and dignity, and they never let it out of their sight if they have a copybook. I've been there, I've seen it. So, if you have in your pocket or your purse a dollar bill here or there, and you don't know what to do with it, and you realize you're not going to need any sprinkles on your cheesesteak, or you're not going to need any parking in downtown Philly, maybe you could think about offering it, and hopefully it will get to a place that has similar needs to the 2 that I just outlined. So that's what the bishops have asked me to do, to appeal to your prayerful selves and to appeal for your financial selves to help us out in the work that we do in 9 of the 12 poorest countries of the world, and other places, obviously. But this will go to the missions. But you see, I am a good Roman Catholic. I'm a good Catholic, I think, and I like things in threes. So we have a little bit of an appeal for some prayers and some financial assistance. But this is Uncle Brother Eddie giving a third appeal on behalf of the Brothers of the Christian Schools. And it's more of an invitation, maybe, than an appeal. But I'm going to ask you this week, because you drew a brother of the Christian Schools to speak with you, to think about seriously, talking to the guy in the mirror, about your duty as a Christian to follow the words of Jesus, go and teach. Go and teach. Jesus told us all to go and teach. Not just those of us that have papers and licenses and all that, but to go and teach. And I see people looking, I see the frowns, and I see a couple heads and wondering, what am I going to teach, right? Well, first of all, if Jesus didn't think you had something to teach, he wouldn't tell you to go and do it. So let's get serious here and think about what it is that you possess that you can give away freely and not lose and get 100-fold back. That's what teaching is. When I could teach everyone in this church the subjunctive past tense of irregular German verbs. It might take a week to let you know what that is, but take a while. But I can do that. And in doing that, and in you learning as best you could, I'm not losing a thing in giving away my information, my skills, my experiences. What I am doing, however, is solidifying that information and skill and experience, passing it on to somebody and asking them to spread it. So if you are of the age of reason, which in the Catholic Church is 7 years old, I'm looking at, maybe we got a 7-year-old or have over here a little bit, back in there maybe, somebody, my eyes aren't that great. So if you're 7 years old, or if you are my age, which is 11 times that plus, I'm going to hold you to this and ask you to do it. If you're older than 77, forget it, I'll give you a pass. But I'm going to ask you to please think this week of what you can teach. Now, those of you who are more near my age, what do you have to teach? I really wish my grandma, God love her, had taught me her recipe for oatmeal raisin cookies. I would have loved to have had that, and I would have taught everybody that. It was just so good. And then you have the 7-year-old. What can a 7-year-old teach you? Well, normally at this point, I had in the parking lot a little bit of a senior moment, non-compos mentis, and I forgot to bring this black thing that I carry around that buzzes and rings and dings and scares you to death sometime when you're doing 70 miles an hour down the interstate. My 10-year-old grandniece has been teaching me how to use that thing for at least 7 years. Okay, so young people that you might not have to deal with except in a very cursory manner, young people have things to teach us. A number of years ago in Brooklyn, a guy came back to the Sunday Mass one morning to tell me that he went home and he invited a young lady who was watching him work on his cars for weeks and weeks and weeks in his neighborhood. And he went over and he invited her to come over to learn how to work on cars. Okay, who would have thought? Who would have thought? So everybody, we all have this. You've been successful or you've been failures. You can teach people how not to be failures in addition to being successes. You've raised families, you've had jobs, and you've owned companies, and some of you have served in the armed forces or in some of you are first responders. You have experiences that other people can learn from only you. So this week, in addition to thank you for your prayers for our missioners and thank you for your financial assistance to our work, I thank you for at least considering joining the Brothers of the Christian Schools in our mission to teach as Jesus did. Thank you very much. God bless America. Have a great weekend.